Sometimes I just don't understand camera companies. Hey, welcome to another video. In a recent video, I talked about what was probably the lens I use the most. If you want to say that makes it your favorite lens, I don't know. But it's the one I use the most, which is this Nikon 24-120 f4 lens. And for people that are new to my channel, I shoot with a Z8, and I'm filming right now with a Z7II. So I basically use the Nikon Z system. So this is the lens that I use the most. I shoot a lot of landscapes. I have shot portraits with it, but I will admit the 85-1.8 is my go-to portrait lens on the Z system, but not always. But I use that lens there. I use that for wildlife. If you watch some of my other videos, you'll see my buddy Henry the Heron that I shoot a lot with this lens. It's a very good lens for that. I shoot a lot of spoonbills with this lens. And again, if you go to some of my other videos, you'll see those images. I also will shoot with the Tamron 70-300 shooting birds, which is a variable aperture lens. I use that lens for my grandkids' sporting events sometimes, but I use the 24-120 for that as well too. So this is probably the lens that I would say I use the most. You can debate on whether it's my favorite lens or not, but it's the one that I use the most, which is different from the best lens I own that will take the best images, corner to corner sharpness, the colors, the saturation that you get from this lens. It's just an amazing lens. And that's why sometimes I don't understand camera companies. And the lens is, which is made for the Z system. It's the Voigtlander 50mm f2 Apo lens. This is the best lens I own. And I own some nice lenses. I mean, that 24-120 is a very good lens. I have the 50mm Nikon 1.8S lens, which is an excellent lens. You know, I have other S lenses, which Nikon, for people that shoot Nikon, they know. For the Canon, the Sony people and all, I mean, everybody makes good lenses. But Nikon, you know, they make exceptional lenses. Some people disagree. I know there's some critics on YouTube that say no, these lenses are better than others, and I'm sure the Leica people will say, well, the Leica lenses are the best, and fine. Everybody can debate that. They all have their favorite lenses. But if you do some honest reviewing, and there's a couple of Leica people that are on YouTube that I do trust their reviews, they'll tell you, when you put this Voigtlander lens on a Leica camera and compare it to some of the Summicron and Summilux lenses, this competes very nicely at a fraction of the cost. If you ever study economics, there's what's called the law of diminishing returns. And essentially it means how much more do you want to spend to get how much more or how little of a result. In other words, you buy this lens for, say, $800, and you buy the Leica lens at $5,000 or $6,000. Are you getting a lens that's 6 times better than this lens? No, you're not. You're getting a lens that maybe it's 5% better, 10% better at most. So is it worth you spending 5, 6, 7 times the cost in order to get 10% better, 5% better? That's a decision you have to make. But That's the law of diminishing returns, in essence. If you're a professional portrait photographer and you say, yeah, that Summicron lens to me is worth the extra money just because of that little bit extra I get, and I can show it to my clients and you can justify that, fine. If you're a guy like me and you're just kicking around, you go for this lens, because this, depending on, now some people will argue, well, I've got the Nikon Z7II, or I've got the 135 plana lens, or whatever, and they can say that's better. Maybe it is, but what percentage? Is the 51.2 5% better, 10% better, and it's 3 times the price, and it's 4 times the size? I mean, the 51.2 is even bigger than this lens. And look at comparing the two. This balances very nicely on a Nikon system. Now, I don't have the ZF, but I would imagine that this would balance rather nicely on that ZF. It definitely does on the Z7II and the Z8. The reason why I'm making this video is because if you're on the fence about this lens and you've heard about it, you probably know, but maybe not, Voigtlander has discontinued this lens. You tell me why. It's a beautiful lens. Yes, it's manual focus, and you can get used to manual focus again. I did a video a while back on how spoiled photographers are these days, about how essentially you just put a lens on one of these newer cameras and aim it at something, and it focuses for you and gets your lighting right, and it essentially takes a lot of things out of your hands if you want it to. And again, people discuss this on YouTube all the time about, well, I only shoot manual setup, or I only shoot shutter priority, or I only shoot aperture priority, or that's fine. Shoot however you want to shoot. I don't get off on that tangent. Me, I normally shoot in manual mode anyway. Occasionally I'll shoot aperture priority or shutter priority, depending on what it is I'm photographing, but normally I like to keep control of everything. And so, because I'm shooting landscapes a lot of times, if I'm using this lens, then manual focus is fine. The actual focus ring, I'd say it's, 90 degrees all the way around. It's very smooth. It's a wonderfully built lens. It does have the CPU contacts in it, which means the Nikon cameras will get your data and it will find this lens for you, which to some people is important. But you have to set your aperture. It has a ring up here that you set your aperture manually. But they've discontinued this lens. And they've also discontinued 35 f2. I have never used that lens, but from what I understand, it's on a level with this one. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. I really don't. Unless they're going to come out with an updated version of it and they're just selling off their old stock, which is possible, because when I was shooting the F-mount cameras, the D700 and the 750 and the 850, and I had the F-mount, I had the Voigtlander 58 f1.4 lens. And again, that was a beautiful lens. They discontinued it, but then they came out later with version 2 of it. It essentially was the same lens as far as the quality of images. I forget what they even made the change, what it even was. Like this has black all around. I think they changed it to silver or something. They were very minor changes. But the point is, there's no guarantee that they're going to come out with another version of this. And if they don't, people in the know are going to start hunting for this lens, and the price is going to go up. Now, I'm never selling this lens. This is mine forever. So you're going to have to look elsewhere if you want to find a used copy of it. But again, the reason why I'm making this video is to tell you, if you have any inclination at all to buy that lens, get it now. I know the stock is getting very limited. It's starting, from what I understand, getting very hard to find that lens now. You can try Camera Quest, and maybe B&H still has a copy, I don't know. Adorama, I mean, I don't care where you get it from. Personally, I normally, if I'm going to buy, if I don't buy used and I'm buying a new Voigtlander lens, which I did buy this one new, I get mine from Camera Quest. Steve, who runs Camera Quest, is very good at answering your questions and tries to help you. And, you know, I'm pretty loyal to people that help me out. So when it comes to Voigtlander lenses, I tend to go to Camera Quest. But that's up to you. That's my tip. Now, the other thing I've been telling people in recent videos was that once I get over 1,000 subscribers, I think in the last video I said 1,025, I'm going to give away one of my prints. And you can pick which one you want between the 2 or 3 that I'm going to tell you about. But I wanted to show them to you, and the different sizes. This is one of them. This is Kirkafell and Kirkafoss, my recent trip to Iceland. This is on, I think, 11 by 17 paper. That's certainly one that you could have. On the same trip, 11 by 17 paper. The Budakirke, the Black Church, up in the Snaefellsnes Peninsula. If you want a larger version of it, this one as well. This is on, I think, 17 by 22 paper. These are nice prints, if I say so myself. And lastly, this is a shot I took in Alaska last year, again on 17 by 22 paper. So I'm sure you all are jumping out of your chairs right now, of course. How do I get one of these? I have to have one. I'm sure that's what you're doing. It's very simple. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, please. Hit the like button to this video, or go to one of the other videos and just hit like, be a subscriber. Go to my website. Someone suggested, oh, just have somebody leave a comment. That's too easy. It's too easy. You got to work for it a little bit. These are nice prints. So what I want you to do is go to my website, find my email address, send me an email, and just tell me your first name, last initial, where in the world you're from. If you're in the United States, just name the town you're in, what state. If you're overseas, you can even just put your country. If you want to put your town in your country, that's fine. I'm just curious where people are watching from. I mean, yeah, I get analytics and Google tells me, but they don't always tell me a town. They might just say the UK or England or the United States. They don't necessarily, you don't get really, break it down too much. So I'm just kind of curious. And also, if you're a photographer, tell me what camera system or what camera body you use. If you're not a photographer, you can still win. You just say, I'm not a photographer, but I enjoy watching your videos. You know, I know there's some people here that watch that aren't photographers. And that's fine. It's great. I'd like to have you along. So anyway, that's about it. That's how you can win. You are welcome to leave a comment anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. Onward to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully soon. And Voigtlander, why? Why did you get rid of that lens? It's a tremendous lens. I don't understand. I don't understand. Okay. Take good care. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.